In this video, I'm going to reveal to you some sentence spin syntax techniques you might not be aware of or might not have heard of. The methods that I'm going to use are very powerful at producing unique content with each and every spin. Right now, I'm using the software program called Article Spin Shuffle, which is part of Affiliate Switchblade. Here's the sentence we're going to focus on here for our demonstration. Most people know about the technique of finding words and phrases within a sentence, surrounding them with the brackets and inserting synonyms. For example, it's a very crude and elementary way to do spinning. Minimal results doing this method all by itself. And then there's nested spin syntax, which is a bit more powerful. But what I'm going to show you goes beyond that is what I like to call inserting conditionals. And the way conditionals work is you insert content in a way that sometimes it shows up in the sentence spin and sometimes it does not. And I'll demonstrate what I mean here. Here's the sentence, Jeff walks the dog. As an example of a conditional, you could put a conditional at the beginning, such as the way that is set up now is sometimes this first part of the sentence will show up in a spin and sometimes it won't. Sometimes Jeff walks the dog. If he is not busy, Jeff walks the dog. Sometimes Jeff walks his dog. Sometimes that first part of the sentence doesn't appear at all. I'll show you another example for a conditional. Put one at the end. See how this works? I'm going to spin it again. He is not busy. Jeff walks the dog in the park. Jeff walks his dog in the park. Sometimes Jeff walks the dog as a means of exercise. You see how with each spin it's really saying something different and unique and in a different way, which is much more powerful than just replacing words and phrases with synonyms. And then you can actually work with the parts within the conditionals for creating nested content. A means of exercise, for example. You could change that to as a means of stretching his legs, which is actually not a synonym at all, but saying something totally different and unique. The idea here is get creative and to really try to think outside the box. How can you make it so that with each spin, the sentence is going to be totally unique and in no way interpreted as duplicate content? And it takes a little time and experience to get good with and get used to the spin syntax. You're adding a lot of conditionals and whatnot. It can get kind of confusing and you can get lost. What I would recommend is anytime you make a change, test it to make sure that there's no errors with missing brackets and whatnot. One of the worst things in the world is to spend, a good 15-20 minutes on a single sentence. Then you go to test spin it and you have no idea where you've made your error. So test often and test frequently. I'll add another conditional here to make it even more varied. You see how now we've added this third conditional or second conditional at the end. We got two conditionals at the end, one in the beginning, and it really varies up the sentence look. Sometimes Jeff walks his dog with his girlfriend. Weekend, Jeff runs with his dog in the park because watching TV is just not enough exercise. Those conditionals, there are things in the beginning, middle, or end, sometimes appear and sometimes don't, are way more powerful than just using synonyms for words and phrases. You really should give it a try. You know, some people, some quote-unquote SEO experts try to say that article spinning is dead, and with Google algorithm updates that it just doesn't work anymore, and that is not true. As long as you put the time in to do proper spinning, not just replacing words and phrases with synonyms or even nested spinning, but give these conditionals a try and you'll see exactly what I mean. And just to help you understand, I'm going to create a totally new sentence and do this again. Start with this simple sentence, I like ice cream. For example, conditional. When I say conditional, I mean that sometimes the part of the sentence shows up and sometimes it doesn't. For example, you always have one slash in there with nothing. See how it adds a whole new condition to the sentence? We can add a conditional at the end. And it starts with the two brackets, type character with nothing on one side, and then the other side, add your conditional, such as see how the sentence totally changes its meaning and its content with the conditionals? Then we can, instead of just getting or adding synonyms, think of ways of saying something totally different will still make sense. It's not just a synonym. For instance, you could put, I like milkshakes. I like, how about something even more different? I like masturbating. Just thinking off the top of my head. But I mean, these things will mean something totally different to Google. I mean, obviously masturbating is not a synonym for ice cream unless you masturbate with ice cream. So I don't think masturbating would get you fat, but it depends upon how you do it. You get the idea. And then within the conditionals, then you can work with words and phrases and using synonym variants such as we'll add another conditional. I don't want to get fat or become overweight. And we can add even another conditional. You see how sentences are totally unique. And imagine you apply this technique of the conditionals before, after, and in the middle of the sentence. Every sentence of articles you create, you're really going to mix things up and not create duplicate content in any way, shape, or form. It's a method of spin syntax you really ought to give a try. Again, it just starts out with the basic sentence. And just think to yourself, what are things I could add to the end, beginning, and the middle of this that will totally change the context and the meaning of the sentence?